Bones are amazing things. They hold us up, they support us, they make us strong. But bones have other uses. In the past, bones were thrown by diviners, seeking out the mysteries of the future. Now the bones are cubes, made of plastic or resin, but they still reveal things to us. As they fall from our fingers and rattle across the table, the story becomes clear. Welcome to Bone Throwers Theater, an RPG actual play podcast.
Hey, thank you for listening to this episode of Bone Throwers Theater. My name is Jordan. We have just wrapped up our little mini-series of what we've been calling side shots. I hope you've enjoyed those. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of our group. To my left is...
My name is Aaron, and I have multiple personality disorder.
My name is Johnny, and so do I.
My name's Jeff, and I have scary personality disorder.
And my name is Jeremy, and yet again, in a campaign, I'm hearing voices.
Although I think this is the first time that you've played, 5 or 6 different characters, main quote-unquote characters, in a
session?
Yeah. It got a little confusing there towards the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I'm not this character anymore. Wait, I'm not Julian.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the hardest part, was to remember that you weren't the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were certain parts in each of the episodes where like, oh, if Julian were here, there's a very specific way he would react, but especially that last one with the kids.
That was
a good one.
Yeah.
There was some really neat stuff in that one.
The Julian part of my brain is screaming as he's in the dumpster. It's like, no! It's right there in front of you! Come on!
Now it's in the street.
You're seeing all these things just get dangled around. And
the kids are totally oblivious.
And also, it's like, the kids don't behave like role-playing characters.
No.
Like, here's a giant hanging clue.
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore that.
They
I'm
were
gonna
very
kick the clue.
singularly focused.
I'm going to kick the clue.
Yeah.
The clue comes back. I'm going to try and kick the rock at the clue.
Yeah. I mean...
But that's usually Jeff's characters anyway.
I know.
You see the cat. I kick the cat.
If I remember correctly,
Poke it with a stick.
If you saw my notes for that cat, it was actually a fake creature following you around, and then you threw it at it. And I'm like, well, that's no longer a fey shapeshifter, so don't know what that is. So anyway, getting back to this campaign. I really liked the side shots because they gave us an opportunity to see the city in a totally different light. Like, we got to see different ways that people would respond. And it was kind of funny how it got split, because the first 2 side shots that we did were different officials in their official capacity responding to things. Mm-hmm. We had the guys in the water treatment plant who were doomed from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because the facilities are just not set up for that kind of...
I almost made it out.
There will be some
You did make it out.
So
but the council made sure that you didn't.
That there were valves that you had to climb a ladder to get to.
There will be some serious restructuring going on.
Or will there be?
Once Jeff gets on the council.
Once I am the council. Oh man, that was so much fun to play. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's getting back to our back half. So first episode, you guys were the water treatment guys. Second episode, you guys were investigators trying to figure out why the explosion happened, and you followed the wrong trail all the way to some
action hero investigators.
Yes. We were action hero investigators.
And then on the
weapon.
on the back half of the side shots, you guys chose to be kids for both of those. So first ones were a group of kids in a private school situation, and then the second one, you guys were street kids.
I really enjoyed the street kids one. It was fun. Partly because of that, where you got to be very singularly focused and just do ridiculous things that it's like our normal characters would never do something like this.
I need to rescue my teddy bear.
Yeah, rescue a teddy bear, have a gleeful look on your face as you dive into a dumpster.
Yeah.
See, I like the contrast personalities between the street kids versus the private school kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Even the private school kids were very serious about what they were about.
they were
Right,
very serious
right.
about what they were about. But look at Trace at the end. Her views on the council. Every adult is evil because they work for the council.
Yeah.
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 Whereas we have Jeff's character from the private school
Yeah,
episode
private school.
It's
Prin.
all about
Prin
being
Nock.
the council.
Prin Nock.
wanted to be the council.
Yeah.
I had so much fun playing that character because every time I said or did anything, everyone around the table cringed.
Yes. The one part that I really like about that one too.
I understand why Jordan does things now.
I mean, that's kind of my GMing philosophy, I guess, in a nutshell. What am I going to say that makes these people fear me the most?
I really like how each episode, maybe not the last one, but the other one showed you a glimpse of how really dark the council is.
Yeah.
But what I really like about the prep school one is, even though we didn't get to see much of the council, we got to see a lot of, through Jeff's character, about the mentality of the council. So you got, he wasn't the council, but you got to see partly how the council thinks and how the council operates.
They need to
Because
know every little detail.
They know everything. And it was like, I love the scene where they're looking for something in the room, and Jeff's character is laying down, facing the wall, not even looking, and is telling everybody what's going on.
Where to find it.
It's like,
Where to find
it's
it.
over here.
Where it
And-
is, what it
and
is.
then-
Who's walking down the
under
hall?
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, where's my thing? This is where it is. And then I forget whose character was. One character said they just turn and stare at Prin. And then Jeff, without batting an eye, says, then I say, stop staring at me. And he's not even looking at him. He's just like,
Like when he's lying on the bed in
Yeah,
the corner. Yeah. Well,
He's just gazing at the map and the flag of
North Belisarius.
North Belisarius.
Well, and I think I've mentioned this in other commentary episodes, but when we were coming up with the show, Elements of War, the World, I was watching a lot of documentaries on North Korea at the time. And in a lot of ways, the council operates in the same kind of cult of personality that the leaders of North Korea do. It's like very much the gods came down from the mountain, and now we have these leaders that are amazing, and they've built this entire cult of personality around them. Everybody hangs on their words and their actions, and so I did that. We did that with the council, but then we have this layer of removal where people don't know who the council actually is. So it gets really crazy. And I thought it was interesting. One of the darkest things about the entire incident was that the council would brook no favor in the water treatment facility episode.
Yeah.
Like you all climbed to the top.
Oh, it was just Aaron's
It was
character.
just Aaron.
Well,
What's his name? Talin.
You failed, you're done.
Yep.
Which got echoed in the prep school
Yeah.
as well.
When Prin was like,
"All right, I failed.
I'm done."
I'm taking myself out. And how the military was okay with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
How they just all snapped to attention and
Like it was-
gave him a salute for it,
Right.
basically.
It was expected almost.
Almost honored him for his choice of killing himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sent him off with a for the council.
Yep.
The words sweetest to his ears.
Were he able to hear them?
I also like how the first episode, the water treatment plant, set a tone, and we all expected in each of the episodes after that to die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
we
the
did.
first one, we all died. The second one, I think we even joked halfway through, is like, well, we're not living after this.
Yeah.
And I remember we joked, there was something that was about to happen. Aaron's character, Liam, was trying to get a confession out of Crom, and he had a roll for this. And I remember we were all of us as players around the table. This needs to happen. This needs to happen because if this happens, we'll live.
Yes. And it did happen. And we did live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because that's the first episode is the only one where
We all died.
we all died.
Yeah.
I think though that it was important because that was happening like as
As the
the
exposure.
opera rail was
Yeah.
just falling to pieces.
Yeah.
And to have that established, oh my gosh, this is the worst kind of imaginable situation to be in.
Well, they kind of bounce back and forth too, because you got the first one where everybody died, the third one where Prin killed himself, but at the end, the last thing that was said is water starts seeping in
Back into
the doorway.
yeah.
So we don't know. That prep school could have been flooded, and all the kids died anyway.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then we got the fourth one, where I kind of like where the fourth one ended, because as we wrapped up and we shut off the recording, we're like, ooh, we're going to see these kids again.
Yeah.
Because it kind of left off as there's something going to happen with these kids.
I like how that one actually was, like, there was potential for something to happen, but the kids were not willing to push through the uncomfortableness of their situation. They were reactionary in the opposite direction. It was like...
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They're street kids.
Right.
Constantly on the run.
They were hiding from people who were trying to control them. They were hiding from people who were trying to hurt them, helping each other out and trying to get what they could from their surroundings.
And part of it was because as we were playing him, that we saw that there's sort of the council's hand behind everything as we were going through it.
Yeah.
So that's why, for my character, Bear, we were toying around with the idea that it's like, all right, these kids are something, but the council is in some way involved, whether they're after these kids or whether something's going on with these kids and the council. That sort of came out at the end when all the rest of the kids thought that the lady with the dog, has come up before. It was working for the council. Well, we'll see if that's the same lady or not. I don't know.
The good old AIT stomp, right?
Yes.
But so with Bear, I tried to throw in a hint of there's something mysterious about Bear, and Jordan kept trying to push that the bear's talking to Bear. And I didn't know. I honestly didn't know what to do with that. So I sort of tried to acknowledge it, but not in a way that would
Make him seem crazy to others.
to the other kids that he's talking to somebody else.
I was thinking it was kind of like a Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh situation,
Okay.
where it's like, you have the teddy bear who's talking to the kid, and in the imagination sense.
Yeah, and this didn't come out in the actual play, but when we were talking about those kids and just gave a brief background before we actually started the recording, it kind of came out in the idea that you heard Bear say, "What's the council?"
Yeah.
Like, part of Bear's background was that he didn't remember what had happened to him prior to a month before this.
Yeah.
So, which is why, even though he was the same age as some of the other kids,
He didn't know
it seemed like the other kids were much more knowledgeable about things than
Well, it felt
he
like
was.
it felt like all the other kids were much older than him too.
It felt like it, but in reality, Bear and Kick were the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's his name? Dolph was only a year.
Not Klaus.
Klaus.
Not
Not Klaus.
Not cheese.
Not cheese.
It's not cheese.
I was about to say Klaus again. Dolph was only a year older.
Right.
Okay, we sort of hinted at the possibility that Bear was an innate, and then the idea that he may be an android kid.
I don't really know.
He's ambiguous at this point. The very nature of Bear is in question.
I don't know. There were some very,
There were some
very big hints for Bear, and the fact that was strong. I mean, he had no memory prior to a month before, and this is something that didn't actually come out like blatantly, but I was trying to hint at it that the cold, he wasn't affected by the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't concerned about finding warm clothes. He was concerned about food.
He didn't care about clothing at all.
No, I mean, that's why at one point I said, like, yeah, he's just standing in his underwear looking over the pot saying, when's this going to be ready? When it was freezing outside.
I really wanted to ask, and it would have been so ridiculous to ask in game, but I really wanted to ask if he had nipples. If he were an android, would he have nipples?
Or a belly button.
Or a belly button?
Kyle XY?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. that one show, Kyle XY. My thinking was that if he is an android, he's been built to
Represent human.
to pass
As a human.
as human. Whether he was an innate or android, if he was innate, whatever his ability was requires lots and lots of energy. His metabolism is off the charts, which is why he's always wanting to eat. Or if he was an android, whatever
fully
system
functional in
has
every
to maintain his outward flesh requires massive amounts of protein.
Yeah.
So that's why he's always wanting to eat. And hint, hint, maybe the protein,
meat.
the raw protein, since he's just using it for the protein, it's not going to make him sick. Maybe he can just consume the raw protein, and that still does he still gets what he needs from it.
Or it could be that next time we see these kids, they're only a trio. Bear is dead, and they're like, he ate the raw
That was the real thing. He was about to walk out the building, and then all of a sudden his stomach's like, uh-oh. And that's why he stopped.
Yeah, that could have been it.
Shouldn't have eaten the dumpster meat.
That wasn't cheese.
That definitely wasn't cheese.
It sounded like at the end of that scene it was a much more serious tone than
But I
he was
remember
getting sick.
So one thing that just thinking about the 4 episodes, the first episode was the only episode where kids were not in danger. Because,
that's true.
Because
Oh, yeah.
the Delby's kids, going back to the second
Yep.
episode, Delby's kids were like they're running out of the building.
Well, they were in
behind the
danger,
house.
and then they were endangering themselves by the things that they were writing and saying.
Yeah.
So that stuff was running through my head as a player when we were at the end of the street urchins episode. Like I was like, we're all gonna get murked just for saying these things.
Oh, because
yeah,
if the wrong person had heard what we were saying,
yeah. If she really
if she
was
wa-
on the council, then we would have been.
See,
Or even go even darker. That Bear is actually an android implanted by the council,
Right.
and is actually recording everything.
and that's actually what they do. They plant. That's how they hunt down some of the kids. They put androids out there to be adopted by the gangs. That's dark.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
pretty
really
dark. If that's the way Jordan
But
wants
yeah,
to take it.
that was definitely running through my head how those girls were potentially going to be in serious trouble because of the things they were saying and writing down and drawing.
And you guys, as investigators for the council, were just eating it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Well, it was only your character that knew about it.
Right, because that's when I turned around
Aaron's
and
character,
gave
yeah.
it to Crom. I'm like, all right, so here are your options. Either your kids disappear, or you sign this confession saying you did it.
I really like that. Usually when we split the party, that's usually somebody makes a joke, oh, this is the worst idea ever. But that actually worked for that episode, to have the investigators like questioning, and then Jeff and I's character, James Cazievel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Tom Ruise,
James Cazievel,
went back and
the explosives
researched
expert.
Crom's place, and that was interesting as well because there's a lot of things that could be potential Easter eggs.
yeah.
For there. So it seems like Crom's place had already been searched.
You're not quite tossed, but definitely.
Well,
gone through.
certain areas were tossed.
I feel like
Like
it
the
was
desk.
it was
Yeah, the desk
tossed in his hurry to
He tossed
hide
it. Yeah.
whatever there was to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, but there were papers all on the floor. He didn't shut the back panel of the drawer correctly. What I think was even more interesting was what we found in the basement.
Oh yeah,
Was the table that had been dragged from somewhere, and there was a
and that storage behind
crawl space, and there was
we found all that
something
stuff.
on the desk there that had been removed, and from the description, it had been there for a while, so it had been recently removed because there was like dust around it, and there was like this rectangular shaped part where there wasn't dust.
That and all the pictures and notes and journals and stuff.
I also like how in each of the episodes, as dark as it got, especially showing the full darkness of the world that we live in, the system of government, there were still some pretty light humorous moments in each of them.
I love the capture the flag game in the school.
Yeah, I thought that was
episode.
That was
good.
fun, and the pranks
Yeah.
that were going.
But that was like the most lighthearted that it got.
Well,
in
that
some
reminds me
regards.
of stuff that actually does go on in like college campuses.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
That's what I pulled from. My first semester of college, I was at Virginia Tech in the Corps Cadet, so that's pretty much what life was. You're in your dorm, there's lights out, but then you got your
The unofficial activities.
sneak out and do pranks to other.
Lighthearted pranks usually.
Yeah,
Putting
stuff like.
soap in the fountain.
Oh, the best one we had was stacking empty soda cans in front of somebody's door, and then tying a fishing line from the top string to the center in the bottom. And we did it to the guy that was responsible for getting up before everybody and going to prep PT for everybody. So he didn't want to wake up everybody beforehand, so he's not going to just knock him down. He's going to take the first can and try and unstack them. He lifts the first can, it's tied to the bottom, and just pulls everything out. Wakes everybody up anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was fun. Even though that episode almost... it's one of the most twisted and dark moments. It was lighthearted, and then this is how serious this is.
Yeah.
Well,
And everybody's okay with this.
Right.
Well, yeah, and as soon as it got serious, all the characters were serious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't just the story got serious. It was
Yeah.
once the emergency hit, everybody was straight into what they're supposed to actually be doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
except for Prin, who had a meltdown.
Yeah.
But
I like
that was how
aspect
people
too.
respond in scary situations. Like,
Not just a meltdown, but he had a total lapse of what he was doing. He didn't even remember what he had said
yeah,
because he had broken down so much.
mm-hmm.
So that,
like the fear just struck him so hard, and that happens to people.
like, he didn't.
I've seen that happen to people in real life where there's some situation happening and they lose their brain completely.
Yeah.
And they bolt.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know what they did, what they said, what they saw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't even remember he said that I am the council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing that was so much fun though, because every time I looked up, everyone at the table was like,
Well, I think that's probably one of the reasons that
I even made Jordan cringe.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because it was so very different from how you normally play characters. Like, your characters are typically
More your natural.
they're
personality.
very quiet and reserved individuals in general. Like, I remember all the way back in Terra Proximus, your character is like a really go with the flow kind of guy.
Yeah.
Very go with the flow. And then the watchmaker again was very go with the flow in a different way.
But timing.
But timing is everything. Yeah. And then sometimes in this campaign, it feels like I'm giving you clues and giving you hints and trying to get your character involved, and you're like, no, I'm dragging.
Well, that's his personality.
I know.
Is
Well,
drag his feet.
But
to
that's
the
what I'm
last-
saying, is that, but Prin was completely different from
Prin-
all of that. Like,
Yeah,
like
that's true.
It doesn't matter how, like, timing wasn't everything for Prin. In fact, Prin, timing couldn't have been worse.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll be this space hillbilly who gets recruited into going to Earth to be turned into a tree.
Yeah, Prin was definitely
Yeah, Prin was like,
in control of everything the time.
I must be in control of everything, or I will not. And I don't think I've ever seen you play a character that was as forceful as Prin, just in personality. And I think that's one reason why it came across as such a shock to everybody
I like to point out too that the dice rolls
tonight.
for each of the side shots seem to be very fitting.
Oh yeah. They were.
For what was going on, because in a humorous way, the second episode, the investigator, because those roles when we said we're doing something fit the stereotype for the celebrity actor that we were
Oh
doing.
yeah.
It's like I made the joke first that Tom Ruise is going to sprint around the building, and it's going to be a good scene. And it ended up being one of the best scenes of the...
Because he's like sprinting in slow motion in the world.
Oh,
ended
he
up
runs
being one
so
of the-
much in this movie. You know it's going to be good.
And then he fires off the shot, and then everybody roll to see if they can hear it. And Johnny's character, Christopher Rove, rolls like 8 sixes.
Yeah.
And we make the joke, super hearing!
Yeah.
And then in the last episode, the kids, I mean, Jordan, you dumbed down the dice.
Yeah, I
Because you gave us 1, 2, the most we ever rolled was 3.
Yeah.
For
kicking.
For kicking, three dice for anything. But even with just those minimal dice, we were rolling awful.
Yeah.
I don't think I rolled.
It was terrible.
I think we had like 3 or 4 rolls that were actually double digits.
Yeah.
Everything else was single digits, if not zeros.
I think
we had a lot of zeros.
I think the median roll tonight, just off of gut, no math involved, was about a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fitting when you think about it. As kids trying to do stuff, they're not capable.
Kids with 0 training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not capable of doing stuff, which is, I think it was hilarious
Oh, it was
how
so
Kick
funny.
could kick anything he wanted, but it wouldn't do any damage.
Yeah.
No, it did 2 damage.
Dude,
2 damage. Every single time he landed a kick.
But it wouldn't be enough. Like, there was sometimes when it was like, he kicked and it was like, ow, I stubbed my toe against their leg.
Against them.
Yeah. And again, I'm like dangling, like I said, I was dangling all of these
Oh,
huge
man.
carrots in front of these children.
well, yeah, in front of the kids. There's
Because-
the pipe bomb, and they were just
as
like,
players, I was like, I want to snatch this clue.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that clue. As a kid, I was like, I don't care.
Jeff, I was kind of annoyed at at your character at first when I'm just going to drop down out of this vent without even looking to see what's down there. I was like, oh my gosh. Well, that's a kid.
Yeah.
Just think about what your son would do in that situation.
No, my son would look.
Your son-
Caleb would look.
Caleb would look.
what about your daughter?
Jaden wouldn't even go in the vent.
Yeah.
I was starting to think about how I would handle it, and I was like, wait, if I was a kid, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, there's something down there.
Yeah.
Let me try to hurt it before it hurts me. Okay, jump down there and kick it.
Just to jump back to Monster of the Week, you played your character tonight, Kick, very similar to how my brother Elijah played his character in Monster of the Week.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
a very straightforward, this is what I'm doing kind of character, which makes sense because Elijah is so much younger than the rest of us.
Yep.
You know,
Well, it's the
It's the
I'm
philosophy.
invincible
Yeah.
mentality.
There were things I think, the kids were doing. It's like talked about it. I said it even, I think the Julian side of my brain was like, oh, we should know that this is something and do it.
Yeah.
I think the pipe bomb
Yeah.
in the
Pipe bomb,
in the dumpster.
Jordan was like, the box is a little bit heavier. He opens the box. There's a pipe in it. I was like, it's a pipe bomb! Why? It's a GX33 or 5 or whatever it is.
Well, and it was great because it was, I'm going to throw a couple boxes. Oh, one of those boxes is heavier than the other.
Oh, that's where I took the opportunity. I was like, oh, let me throw some more mystery out there. So I used one of the fate points that Jordan had given to alter that, say that Bear tosses it out like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So, which we didn't really talk about the backstories before
for the kids. We just kind of jumped in.
We just jumped in because part of the backstory for Bear was he had amnesia and woke up in an abandoned building with nothing but the teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
There was another kid that came in and tried to take the teddy bear from him, and he just beat the snot out of him.
Literally, there was boogers everywhere.
Yeah, that's the backstory that would have been good to know at the beginning of that for to explain why you kept going after the teddy bear.
Because there was
Yeah.
that one point where your character, Aaron, asked, oh, why don't you just leave the teddy bear? We can find you another one.
I didn't say that.
It's like,
I said it's
just a bear.
It's just a bear.
Ooh, and
Like,
that's
is it worth it?
That's where I wanted to get a little bit of the creep factor going on, where he just like turned around like it wasn't him,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden snapped back and was like, "We got meat," and just kept walking by him and be like, Oh, what just happened?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about role playing. Talking about like furthering the agenda is really kind of hard to do.
Well, yeah, you can't.
Well, you can't.
Right, but role playing we can talk about quite a bit.
There was a lot.
There was a lot
was
of
a
different
lot.
types of role playing. There was in the first episode. That one was the first episode was a little bit harder to role play because
It was very much a scenario situation.
Yeah.
it was scenario.
We had
The only
specific-
role play that you actually really got to do was at the very beginning because once stuff started happening,
It was
more
nonstop.
of just we got to do this. We got to do this.
It was
So-
rush, trying to survive.
Which was great because this particular campaign has been very role play heavy.
Yeah.
You know, so to have a scenario where you had to rush to get something done was a lot of fun.
So we did set up that with some good role play. Set up that the scene opener with. I mean, we even joked about it once as we're saying, "Oh, this character's doing this. This character doing this." It's like, oh, this is very much like a typical night shift.
Yeah.
One person is doing the work while everybody else is just slacking off.
And then but with the added twist of there was a doctrine officer
Yeah.
for the council.
Yeah, which some role play elements came back into that because there was the logbook.
Yeah.
That became a very important thing, which never got to where it should have gone.
Nope.
Because the council was just like, well, no, we're done with this.
We're done.
Yeah.
So,
We would rather shove our mistakes under the rug.
so there were some brief role play moments in that one.
Yeah.
The second episode, there was a lot of
role-playing.
Yeah.
role playing.
Yeah.
So
Aaron had some really good moments when he was interrogating.
Yeah.
Both when
Came out funny.
he were interrogating Phillipi and the little
kids.
girls.
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was
Those
so,
were-
that,
those were good
that was a
parts.
really good moment where you didn't let on that with the kids. You didn't like immediately start to chastise them. It was like, what are you writing? This why? You're just like, oh, this is some interesting writing. Did you hear your parents say this?
Yeah.
That was
It
very
was
good.
it was very
Creepy.
it was thoughtful.
Yeah. It's how I think a lot of police would respond because it's like, oh, you're kids. You don't have any kind of real thought of your own. on
Original
this.
thought. You heard
Right.
it from somewhere.
You've heard this from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
Then our third episode.
The third
Nice.
one was very role play.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah, it's a.
very. I love.
There was a lot good role playing in that one
Yes. Yes, there was. The whole scene with Last trying to stay up late.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trying to finish,
Very much just.
finish the bridge,
too. Yes.
Yeah.
the engineering project.
Yeah.
That was
That Prin that whole scene
That-
in the pod.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it was very. I think everybody did a good job role
Yeah.
playing of that one.
Yeah. I liked when what was your character's name?
Flynn, Connor.
Flynn, Connor Flynn, and his buddy were doing workouts and
Yeah.
in the corner, like just egging each other on until they were done.
And the interaction with the janitor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah,
We have a deal, remember? And
Yeah,
that was awesome.
yeah, that was good.
we got tickets.
And then even in the safe room
The
or
panic
whatever,
room,
the
yeah,
panic
yeah.
room, Johnny's character, who was then totally focused on engineering.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
We gotta
I
find a
think-
way
I
to
think-
keep the water out.
I think it's the aqua rail. We gotta
We got to do the sand.
we gotta make sure we don't flood in this room.
Yep.
And then
And then we fled because nobody listened to me.
and then Flynn taking charge and saying, "All right, everybody, back up," and then just Prin.
All the way through.
Yes.
I was on my game that episode. I don't know why. I was just in the zone. I was having so much fun freaking you guys out.
And then there's so many great moments, role play moments with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Kick. Just literally
Jumping out of the-
yeah, because at first I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, why is this kid keep doing this? Or, why does the player keep
I'm
making
gonna
the kid
keep
do
doing
this? But then it's like, no, actually that's
Exactly what kids
a
do.
kid would sit and struggle and keep trying to kick and squirm and scream, and that's exactly what a kid would do.
That's
All right,
exactly what a kid would
It
do.
was so hard to figure out when is there a good stopping point in terms of role playing without actually doing damage to a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So that's why I finally just like chucked you outside.
And then
And that was fair. That was a good release point for Kick to
Yeah.
skedaddle and
Yeah.
get back to.
yeah, street kid gets. All right, fine. You're gonna let me go in the middle of the street? Fine. Boop,
Right.
I'm out of here.
Right. Not gonna go back for more.
Yeah,
Not gonna fight you over cans of food when I can go upstairs and raid the kitchens.
exactly.
Right. Yeah, which was another thing. As a player, thinking how an older player would play this, it's like, oh, you crawl your way through the vents, you find you're in the apartment area. All right, break into the apartments. They got foods in the
Yeah.
apartments.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope, kid was like, I gotta turn around. and then,
Gotta go to the store.
and then
Well, and
Trace is underneath going, yep, he didn't listen.
and the way I tried to play Trace is, she was the oldest of the group,
Yeah.
so she's more mature, more thoughtful about things.
And very much
the older
her
sibling.
group.
Yeah, it was
Like
very much,
she-
it was her group of people.
Yeah.
And I like how that sort of naturally played out. It was definitely the three of you guys as a group. And it definitely felt like Bear was just tagging along.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And he really wasn't a part of it.
He's just doing his own
So, because it seemed like at every point, especially whenever Trace said something, the two of you were like, okay, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then Bear was there, was like, and then Bear was over top, was like, well, why?
Yeah. Because.
It's like,
Yeah.
but this food is going to last us a month. We need more than this. What?
Yeah.
See, if you listen to Trace, though, it would last you longer.
I don't think it would necessarily for Bear.
Yeah.
Well,
That was the
also-
clue. There's something
Yes.
else going on
The-
with Bear.
I think that our characters were like, and referring to Trace, we were, oh, well, Trace has been doing this longer, and she's older, she has more experience doing, staying alive on the streets.
Yeah.
And we're just like, well,
Well,
I
not
don't
just
have
that-
to think about it if she already knows how.
Well, it's not just that, it's also she helps take care of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
Trace
A mother
will be back.
character.
She's always been back. She's taking care of us.
It's like the Lost Boys looking for a mother.
Oh,
Wendy. You're our Wendy.
hairiest Wendy I've ever seen.
I was thinking Rufio, but
Oh! Such a good movie.
Yeah.
that movie, you go back and
There you are.
you watched it
Peter.
as a kid and you're like, this movie's amazing. You watch it as an adult and you go, this movie is so dark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a perfect example.
But it's still a great movie.
No, it's a really good movie, but it's like a perfect example of what we were showing with that last episode.
Yeah.
Is that things can be really dark around you, and the kids will just not even see it for what it is.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and talk snacks because we're not really awarding points for role playing tonight. I think
Well, I think everybody loved the mac and cheese.
mac and cheese was great.
The bacon and onion mac and cheese.
that was
Oh,
good.
that was so good.
And garlic. There was
And
garlic.
garlic,
in
There's
there.
garlic in there.
You know, it was so funny because I woke up this morning and my wife was gone for a volunteering thing she was doing with a race. And so I messaged her and I go, I am really in the mood for bacon. And she's like, well, we have some in the freezer. I'm like, score. So I cooked myself a whole thing of bacon, ate a lot of it. There's some left, I think, if she didn't eat it all.
Bacon's healthy, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It is. When you're on the paleo diet, every strip of bacon is another step closer to heaven. And
It's
When you're not on the paleo diet,
Every strip of bacon is a step closer to heaven.
it's meat candy.
Meat candy.
so I gorged myself on bacon this morning. And then I come here, and Jeff has a whole, 2-pound block of bacon that he's just chopping up. And I'm like, is that more bacon? This day is getting better
He
and
said
better.
it exactly like that,
He
too.
did. He did.
So, yes, bacon mac and cheese was amazing.
George standing over the pot. When is this going to be ready?
In just his underwear.
Full disclosure, I am wearing all my clothes right now. I was wearing all my clothes when we got here. I will be wearing all of my clothes until I go to bed
This
tonight.
is the second session in a row where we reference not wearing clothes.
You guys have some issues to work out. Next campaign we're doing in a
Not
nudist
that
colony.
kind of naked.
So anyway, back to food. In addition to the mac and cheese, another Grove contribution was the zucchini bread, which was really good.
Very tasty.
Quite delicious.
Yes, but it wasn't cheese.
No, well, it wasn't
not
cheese.
It's not cheese.
I brought Rice Krispie treats that had
Pork rinds.
added to them.
It's quite tasty.
That sounds odder than it actually was.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were it was a really nice boutique
Well,
pork rinds, which how many times do you get to say that? They were chili salt flavor, and like when you ate it, it gave you a nice little bit of heat on the end of it.
I also thought that it balanced out really well because you had the saltiness contradicting the sweet.
Yeah.
You know? So it balanced very nicely.
I'll have to do those again. They might be a nice little surprise for people at church. I've never had pork rinds in my life. Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah.
And then Aaron also
Brought
brought some Klondike bars, which I think is great because we had an episode with a character named Bear, and we have bears on the Klondike bar boxes, and those are actually being consumed at the moment.
Yes.
Jeff actually just pulled
They're
another
yummy.
one. We have Oreo and Reese's.
Oreo and Reese's. I couldn't decide on just one of them.
It's
You never
hard to
can.
decide between
You
Klondikes.
never can.
I still have to go with the original Klondike bar as my favorite.
That one's really good. I like the Heath ones a lot.
Heath ones are
I almost got the Heat
Good.
ones, but I figured I couldn't buy 3 things of Klondike bars for today.
Jeremy disagrees with you.
Well, this will last us like an hour, right?
Barely.
I see what you did there.
Oh, I wish I had thought of that. We talk about like days. This will barely last us.
And when you have a food shortage, well, I guess you'll just have to grin and bear it. You guys keep inviting me back.
Oh, I know.
So, guys, I guess we will have to see what the rest of Season 1 will hold for us now that we're done with the side shots. We've got to figure out how we're going to work all of this stuff back in, see where it leads.
See, I love the way we did the side shots with the. It's like we did just like when you watch a movie, you have a major event. You have the side shows, you know.
Do you think that it worked well as a storytelling device?
I think so.
Yeah, because it gives some hints to what characters you might see pop up later.
It also gives a little bit more to the world. Some
Yeah,
flavor.
it gives more depth to the world in general.
I think that the side shots were really ambitious for a RPG campaign.
Yes.
Like, I think that if you're doing like another form of storytelling, like maybe a movie or something like that, a little easier to do. TV show especially.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like we designed both of us to be that way, where it feels like plays like a TV show.
Yeah.
I think this campaign definitely does that.
Yeah.
So
More so than our other campaigns.
no, Terra Proximus did very much so.
Yes, it did. The 100.
Yeah. I know. We do release the show under a Creative Commons license, but you can reach us at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com if you want to discuss contract negotiations.
All we want is you to buy some equipment.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Let us quit our day jobs. Do this for a
That would be
living.
even nicer.
That would be amazing. I would do this for a living.
I would do it for a living too.
I don't know if I would.
Get
I mean, not that I don't I don't enjoy this.
No, it's
I really enjoy my day job.
That's good.
That's good.
That's a good thing though.
Jeremy just shakes his head.
Part of the frustration with this kids episode is because I deal with kids all day.
Jeremy is a school teacher.
So half of me was like, oh, not this kind of activity or behavior again.
So did we nail it?
Yeah. Yeah, we nailed it.
I don't know. I think that creative, collaborative storytelling is probably some of the most fulfilling stuff that I do. So I don't necessarily think I would be the GM for every single thing that we did.
If we were doing it full time, definitely not.
No, I'd share the wealth on that. I will say this: that some people make it work for a living, and I give them all the kudos in the world. But for us, this is a passion.
Yes.
That's a lot of kudos.
Oh yeah.
It would take you forever to eat. that many kudos.
Is a kudos a kind of food?
It's a candy bar.
It is.
I haven't seen those around in forever though.
I know, it's been a long time.
Well, anyway, I think we're reaching the point in the conversation where we're just kind of trailing off and discussing food more than anything. So,
That happens regularly.
yeah.
All my
Especially for
conversations.
Bear.
I think we're going to forbear on any more bear puns, and we'll just go ahead and call it good. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Bone Throwers Theater. Thank you for listening to Bone Throwers Theater. Our cast is Aaron, Jeff, Jeremy, Johnny, and Jordan. We are releasing this podcast under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means that you can share the podcast, but please do not modify it or try to gain financially from it. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater.com. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @bonethrowerstheater, and also you can look us up on Facebook. And until next time, may the bones fall ever in your favor. This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production. I barely got away with that last one.